My life has been in two parts. The life of the family has also been in two parts. That is before Andrew's illness and after. And the experience of dealing with the illness, its associated problems, and looking after Andrew 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, has a huge impact, which has continued even after he passed away. Our personalities have also changed. I am aware of more things than I used to be aware of. I'm aware of other people more, and I'm also more easily unsettled. The trauma of dealing with Andrew, I realise, or the illness, I realise has caused post-traumatic stress, and that has had a huge impact. I remember going with friends to see Les Miserables, and I just couldn't cope with it, and I had to walk out. If on television there's Casualty or something of some programme like that, I can't cope with it. I've been in an ambulance with the sirens blaring, racing down to the hospital with a child struggling to breathe. And that was enough. That was the complete experience for me. So I don't want to watch it on television. However, there are other aspects that Andrew, in a way, left a gift for us, because while we were at the Children's Hospice, Martin House, there was a music room, and it was actually intended for the unwell children, but we used it as well. And in there I discovered drums, the Bowron, an Irish drum, the djembe, an African drum, and I discovered I could play them. And that interest has continued and has meant that I've become involved in all sorts of world music. It's a very sad situation, it was very traumatic, but Andrew, as I said, has left us a gift of lots of new things and lots of new interests. And we're very grateful to Andrew for that. And then we were given this terrible news after some investigations that he had Niemann-Pick type C, that it would result in his premature death. And when we asked about the illness and what the symptoms were, the nurse actually said to us, "You don't want to know." And I can see what she meant, but in a way it wasn't really helpful. So we had to do a lot of research and find out what the condition was. It developed, the whole thing became very challenging. The home became a hospital. My wife and I became people on different shifts looking after him. But we had to remember that Andrew was still Andrew. He wasn't the problem. The problem was this terrible disease. He died at 9 years old. My wife went with him to Martin House and lived with him there, and she was there 10 weeks. I came and went initially, but then I stayed all the time. He became terribly ill because the condition affected his temperature control, his breathing, his digestion. Obviously he was incontinent. It became really, really arduous. And I can remember I used to sit with him and hold his hand and have my other hand under his armpit. And I would sit there for 3 or 4 hours, and I realised that my breathing synchronised with his. So we became one. And he used to squeeze my hand, and I would talk to him and I would squeeze his. When we had the conversation with the consultant, when she said, "Andrew has a disease, a very rare disease, called Niemann-Pick type C," we felt completely lost. Because at that time, there was very little known about the condition. However, a friend of my wife's had a magazine on genetic disorders, and listed on the back was an organisation. So we contacted them, and they were reasonably helpful, but they then referred us to the Niemann-Pick group, and immediately life became a lot easier. If you're faced with this enormous problem of a child being diagnosed with a disease which is going to cause lots of problems and result in that child's death, you feel completely lost. It was similar to when I've been walking and one is on the mountains and there's the mists about you and you've no idea which direction the footpath is. But you get the compass out and look at the compass and the map, and then you can gradually work out which way to head and make your way down safely. And that's what it was like with the Niemann-Pick group, that they talked to us, explained the condition, and they mentioned that there was conferences. So we came along to the conferences, and what a wonderful experience. I've heard people describe the conference almost as a religious experience. Not only are there technical explanations, but there's also this sense of community, a group of people, a unit, a family, facing a difficult situation together, exchanging ideas, giving support. It's a wonderful, warm feeling. Although Andrew died in the year 2000, we still come because it's a continuation. Our daughter was 6 when he died, and the whole thing has affected her considerably, but coming to the Niemann-Pick conferences helps her, gives her a sense of community, and she has made friends here and she's still friends with them.